Men are super sensitive to pain because usually we believe that we're going to be the ones that inflict the pain. And when the pain is inflicted on us, especially out of nowhere, we can't brace for it. It is the number one reasons why marriages are struggling. It's not that they're going through all these hard times. Our parents went through the same hard times.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they're not friends anymore.
Woo!
Not friends anymore. We're married, but we're single. If a man describes a negative relationship with his mom, beware. Beware. Because think about it. Who we go to for comfort, he didn't have that. He didn't. How was he going to trust you? For a lot of women, they're going to say intimacy starts. It's not lovemaking. It's before.
That's right.
Get me at an 8 or a 9 before you touch me.
Yeah.
You want the best lovemaking for a woman? Let her luxuriate. Let her feel emotionally safe. Take some things off her plate. Let her know that you think of her. Do random acts of kindness.
No, that's great.
Touch her without the expectation of sex.
Oh, what's love got to do with it? This is the Valentine special for the Jamal Bryant Podcast. Let's be clear. Put on your red dress or your red turtleneck, and I need you to lean in. Today, it is all about love. Isn't it amazing that 35 years later, Tina Turner could never answer the question, what does love have to do with it? I brought in my Morehouse brother, my friend, and my runaway therapist. He would never take me as a client. I don't know why. But I am so grateful to have the one, the only, Dr. Alduan, not to be confused with Hakeem Olajuwon, Dr. Alduan Tartt. Welcome, sir.
Good to see you again, my brother.
Happy Valentine's Day to you and your wife.
Happy Valentine's Day to you and yours.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, y'all been all over the world.
And
All right.
And we are here.
That's good.
I got to run out of here so I can take her to dinner today. But I wanted to really jump in. One of my favorite quotes, Dr. Tartt, is love is the only thing everybody has been hurt by and everybody still wants. It's an amazing cycle that there are no amount of songs that have greater subject matter than love. There are no poems that have more of a subject matter than love. There are no books that have a greater subject than love. And still, 2025 years later, people are still searching for it.
That's right.
I am...
Minus hip-hop.
Minus hip-hop.
Right.
Minus hip-hop.
Love songs.
No. Sitting with a gangster lean. Gangsters need love, too.
Yeah, they do.
I am not convinced, Dr. Tartt, that everybody really wants love as much as a lot of people just like what love represents.
Okay.
It's matching pajamas. It's a post on Instagram. It's a trip.
Right.
But it's the real work. Do you think people in the culture really want love or they just don't want to be lonely?
I think people don't want to be hurt.
Woo!
I think everyone wants love.
Yeah.
But what's my experience with love?
Yeah.
And let's go back. Did I have a loving relationship with my parents?
Yeah.
We know that our first love means a lot to us. Have I had a good relationship? Have I had a good time in relationships? Like, have I been successful at it? People who've been successful in relationships and love, they want it.
Yeah.
People who haven't are kind of at a crossroads. Like, I don't want to be lonely.
Yeah.
But I can't be happy lonely.
Yeah.
Some can,
Yeah.
some cannot. But if I can't be happy lonely because I'm not built to not have a companion.
Wow.
I'm not built. This just doesn't match me to date numerous people.
Yeah.
I want to settle down. I'm a settle down type person, but I have not met the one. Yeah, they absolutely want to seek love because they feel a certain sense of betrayal in a life they want to live.
Yeah. I was divorced for 11 years and was scared to death of commitment. Scared of it because I was served divorce papers, Dr. Tartt, laying in the bed next to my wife. So I wasn't in an apartment. I wasn't on the couch.
You want to buy your...
I wasn't in the guest room. I was in the house. And so I was nullified because I thought, stupefied rather, that because I thought we were working things out, we're in process. I like, there's no way I can let myself get that vulnerable to be that open.
Yeah,
So
that's traumatic.
It took me.
She knew the papers would come. We're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
I've known your audience. I didn't know
we
that,
have
man,
tissue here?
but I get it. No, I get it.
Yeah.
That's
So
a shock. That's a trauma.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people have varying degrees of trauma that may not be theirs, but inherited trauma.
For sure.
What they saw mama go through.
For sure.
Yeah. How do you process pain that you won't release?
All right. Well, one, are we talking about men? All right.
Yes, let's do men.
Right. So first of all, as men, this is counterintuitive for how we think we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be stoic. We're supposed to suck it up. We're supposed to deal with it, right? And so if I've been taught that strength is being stoic and strong and pushing through and not crying and not being hurt and not being broken down to my last compound, not acknowledging the trauma, then that trauma stays there.
Ooh.
And anything I avoid only gets bigger. Right? And anyone that's ever been married, I've been in a relationship, rationally, you know that this is one person that hurts you, but our nervous system, our emotional mind will say, protect me at all costs. So beware of the woman who hurt you and anyone that fits the description.
Ooh,
any woman like her. All right?
That's so the new suspect challenge.
Hey, listen, we'll go from being hurt by Tasha to I can't trust women.
Ooh.
Tasha hurt us, but I don't trust any women. And for men, it's super fast. Women can say, yeah, you know, that was him. It's maybe not this particular guy. But men are super sensitive to pain because usually we believe that we're going to be the ones that inflict the pain. And when the pain is inflicted on us, especially out of nowhere, we can't brace for it, then our nervous system says, you know, I'm just not going to get into relationships, or I'm just going to date casually. I'm going to date from a distance, but I'm not going to let anyone hurt me to that degree because that goes against my survival. That goes against my well-being. Even being a man, I can't be hurt and sad and depressed like that again. So we'll just avoid versus treat the trauma.
My first car, Dr. Tartt, was a Nissan Altima.
Okay.
It was a limit.
That's not bad, brother.
Hey, but it broke down.
Okay.
2 weeks after I got it. But
it's not funny, man.
But I didn't give up on cars.
Okay.
So I want to know how it is that we will rebound on stuff that is inanimate, but will not give that same grace to a person.
Well, I mean, especially, did we get closure to understand why what happened to us? Now, we're not going to get into, the particulars, but part of healing for trauma is I need to know why what happened.
Yeah.
So say we're in ministry together, and then you go off and you bring me in. I go off and start a church, and you hear about it on the internet.
Wow.
I just didn't show up for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't know why. Now, it'd be better if I come and say, you know what? I said when we first started, this is something I wanted to do, and you ignored me for 10 years straight.
Yeah.
Okay, you can understand that. But if I give you no explanation, then you can't trust our relationship at all. Did I come in fake? Was I only positioning myself to be around you, to do this the whole time? When we were at dinner laughing, was I being fake? Was our friendship ever real? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you begin to question the whole thing. And so the trauma exacerbates. The trauma becomes big, and then you learn not to trust people.
Wow.
But if I come back and I'm specific, hey, that minute you said I could preach, and then you showed up, right, and said, sit down, that was the minute I decided I was going to go out on my own. And a lot of people don't get that closure in relationships.
I have a theory. It's unfounded, it's untested, it's unproven. But I want to ask you as a professional.
Okay. No, we took psychology together. We were in the same class. Right. So you know what you're talking about, Doc.
Yes. I think that one of the unspoken ingredients to contemporary failed relationships, drum roll, is texting.
Okay.
It's people are not talking.
Okay.
They are abbreviating. They're using emojis, and we have lost the art of conversation.
For sure. How
important is talking over texting, or is it interchangeable at this point?
No, it's not interchangeable. It is the number one reasons why marriages are struggling. It's not that they're going through all these hard times. Our parents went through the same hard times.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they're not friends anymore.
Woo!
Not friends anymore. We're
Woo!
married, but we're single.
Yes.
Right? Like you sit down and you ask, what's on your wife's mind and heart right now? But I couldn't tell you, right? All we really talk about family business, marital business, the status of the marriage, superficial things. But I can't tell you that we have a system or a ritual of connection. Happily married couples have rituals. They get to the point that, look, we can't wing friendship. We tried.
Golly.
Can't wing it. So and you hear it.
Yes.
I walk my wife to the car every morning with her coffee. When we come in, he comes and finds him and we pray together. We kiss and we talk about the day. Before we go to bed, we pray. We go exercise together. We have a standing date night. Couples are religious about that.
Yeah.
Well, they're religious about it because they know if we wing our friendship, we don't have the core of a marriage. And it's so easy, especially if you have kids, to just live together and go to the soccer games and do your ministries at church and open up multiple businesses and plan family reunions. But when's the last time you and your husband had a conversation about what's on his head and heart? How friendly are you? You'll look around and you'll find that you're friendlier with the people at work.
Good grief.
You're friendly with the receptionist. You're friendlier with your work buddies because they know what's going on. But when you come home, you're just cooking and cleaning and running the kids here and there. And you look up, and what happened to the friendship? And you know, Doc, when we see it, it's an empty nest. When the kids are either off to college or they're 16 and 17. And, you know, we have daughters. They gone before they gone. Right? When she started driving, I was like, I don't know where. I had to look at my phone to find out where my daughter was. Right. I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's at work, school, volleyball. Right. And they're not there, then the focus comes back on the marriage. So the distraction is gone. So a lot of couples are winging it and they're very lonely. The Surgeon General came out and said that loneliness was the epidemic we're not talking about. What he didn't say was a lot of that loneliness is happening inside of marriages and relationships.
Good grief.
That's what's happening.
That's the quicker pickup. My wife and I, we walk through restaurants and we always check when we walk in a restaurant at the tables how many couples are on their phone.
For sure.
And not really engaged. And so just like there is a date night, we have marked out what is the time that is a no Instagram, no text message, no TikTok model, because in many ways, social media is death row records.
It is. Yeah. It's proven. So one of my pet peeves is in the car, right? Yeah. When we're in the car, I feel like it's our time. We're riding. I want to talk. My wife is on that phone. I'll be honest. For like 5 minutes, I don't even say anything, right? Which was a bad idea. I should just say up front. Because after a while, I'm like, so you just going to text all day? Right. We almost there. I thought we were on a date. And she was like, well, do you want the babysitter paid? Do you want this? I was like, babe, just put the phone down and talk to me. Right. And as men, a lot of times, we won't admit that we're that insecure. I don't mean in a negative way. Like, I really want your attention. Yes. Like, why are we married if you going to be in the group chat all talking to everyone else but me? Wow. Right? And so our wives are hungry too. Yeah. Right? So you'll be on the phone, being a minute, your phone will ring at any point in time. And we step out. When we step back in, now we're tired. Right? But we stepped away from the conversation. Right. Come on, I'm not getting you in trouble, man. I'm not with you. But what I'm saying is that we need connection. It's like going to church, but you're not really feeling it. You wasted your time. Yeah. The praise and worship was singing and pastor you were preaching, but I wasn't there. Yeah. I wasn't there. I didn't have connection. Oh, so powerful. What people need is connection.
One of the things you see it in memes and in jokes is the whole phenomenon of people breaking into each other's phone.
For sure.
What happened to the invisible trust that you got to memorize somebody's code? While they sleep, you got to do face face record. You looking over while they punching in. Right. How do you heal broken trust? Okay. Hear this, Dr. Tartt, from a previous relationship and you carrying it over. So because that last person did it, for sure, they're still dealing with the unresolved closure.
Remember we talked about trauma. So we have a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is flight, fight, freeze, we can get into this later, fawn, where you people please, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're anxious, that sympathetic nervous system says, don't get hurt. All right, don't get hurt. Remember how you felt last time, and sometimes it's subconscious. It just happens immediately.
Yes.
Right, and then you're saying, all right, well, let me do something to make myself feel better. All right, and so what a lot of people do, you're talking about sleuthing. Let me look through the phone to see if what I think I'm going to see is going to be there. Right, and so if nothing's there, for some people that calms them down.
Right.
For some people, it heightens their anxiety.
If nothing is there,
what if she's hiding? Maybe there's another phone. Maybe he knew I was gonna check.
Right.
Maybe he's looking at the cameras and knows I go through the phone and let me check something else. So if we're not healed, that nervous system is trying to protect us. That's all it's trying to do, right?
Yeah.
The way to heal from that is to be just open and honest, right? And then talk about what you need to feel relaxed. So couples have been through infidelity. That could be around money. That could be around other people. The first phase is transparency. All right. Let's sit and talk about how much transparency we're going to have so that you're not traumatized thinking about where I am. If I'm out of town, let's talk about what transparency looks like. And that might look like call me, FaceTime. All right. And with couples, they might FaceTime 4 or 5 times. I know I call you the first time, but she might have been in the bathroom, right? If you ever been traumatized, and we're talking about women, but it's men that go nuts, right? Go crazy, right? You know, you would have known I was going to call. I told you I was going to call. And then you call back at 11 o'clock and they're asleep. I'm like, all right, just walk around the room for me. Like, oh my goodness, walking around the room. Call back at 12, right? Maybe they were coming later. Maybe you knew I was going to do this.
Right.
There comes a point where they no longer need to do that because they're able to see that what they think is happening is not, and then their nervous system calms down. Couples don't talk about that.
Yeah.
They just get into this debate of, you don't need to go through my phone. You should just trust me. Or that's an invasion of privacy. Or my phone has really confidential information in it. You're looking at stuff you don't need to see, business-wise, church-wise, family-wise, friends-wise. But if they're able to say, hey, let's have a small period to where we're able to be real with where we are, radical acceptance. You know why I don't trust you, right?
Yeah.
And you know I'm traumatized. I don't want to feel this way. Who wants to call someone 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night? And you're not insecure that makes you feel. Let's talk about what I need and how long we need to do this so that we can reestablish trust so that when I think about what you're doing, I automatically think the best.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I want to ask you, what would you say is the difference between being alone and being lonely?
Ooh, okay. So there's this research. Dr. McDonald is his name. I can't remember his first name, and he talked about happy single people, which is never talked about, right? And so he said there's 4 categories. There's happily married, there's unhappily married, there's happily single, and there's unhappily single. What no one ever talks about is a large group of people who are happily single. Right. And what he found when he looked at those people is that they had a robust set of friends to hang out with. So while they were technically and legally single, they didn't feel lonely.
Yeah.
Right, we see this with a lot of women. They travel out the country together.
Yeah.
They have a prayer group in the morning. They're part of black girls who cycle. Right. They're in an entrepreneurship group. Right. Yeah. They have a number of friends that have deep, intimate conversations that come over the house. So they're not lonely. Anytime they want companionship, they have it. Even if they want masculine energy, they know where to go to get attention from men. And if the right one they'll go on a date. They may not want to get married. It may not lead to marriage, but they get everything that they need, right? Mm-hmm. So they're not lonely. They live by themselves because they have that intimacy, right?
No,
so that's the difference between being alone and lonely. And even in marriages, I give men, and someone came to me and they said, how much fun do you have? I said, I have a lot of fun. They said, what do you do? I said, I watch the game. I read books. I do my little hobbies. They said, is that fun or relaxing? I said, damn,
wow.
I just relax.
Yeah.
Fun is actually going to the game.
Right.
Fun is me actually going ATV and skeet shooting or something I like to do that my wife would never do.
Right.
Right. And so in marriages, I encourage a lot of men, you need to go out and have fun, not only with your wife, but for yourself, because a large part of men's happiness is having fun.
Yes.
And if you just feel like you slogging through the marriage, it's a ball and chain, I'm just doing it, you're going to be very unhappy. And it's going to show its head sooner or later.
I think the church messed up a whole lot of people by really not giving complete breath to be not unequally yoked. That we took from it that whoever I'm with got to make the money I make, have the same degree that I make. What does that really mean? Unequally yoked.
What we know in the science, which follows the word, is opposites attract. When you look at most couples, they're more different than alike. That's across the board with almost every race. Right?
Yeah.
And so those differences make it actually entertaining that you see the world completely different from me. You have different hobbies, right? But what we're really looking for is really a harmony or like a band. You may play the drums and I play the cymbals, or someone plays the saxophone, and we're different, but when we play, it harmonizes.
Yeah.
What couples are looking for is harmony, not complete clones of one another. How do we blend? How do we make things happen? And with relationship masters, like successful couples that have made it, not just the years, because you can make it years and not be happy.
Yeah.
They are saying they're happily married. All right. They blend. So they talk legacy. And so they'll have seasons to where one is just supporting the other. Right? Like, Mecca and I have talked to like, all right, what are your goals for the new year? And she might say, hey, I'm coming out hard with doing this, this, and this, and this. And I might say, well, I wanted to come out the year doing this, this, and this. And I was talking about traveling and going. Well, who's going to be here for the kids? Right? Who's going to take care of, our parents? Who's going to take the medical appointments? And so we have to sit and talk. All right, well, let me know what your vision is. All right, you know what? For first quarter, I'm not going to do a lot of traveling. All right, that's totally on you. My wife has a new job. You're building up your territory.
Right.
You're going to have to make it work. Okay, then I'll be home so I can be front and center with the kids. But I need you to do a good job.
Right.
Right. So that April, I can go do what I need to do.
No, that's powerful.
Right. So we're totally different, but we're able to blend.
For somebody who's tonight, they getting dressed while they watching this, or to be safe, they going out to lunch with somebody, first date, somebody slid in the DM, somebody introduced them. What are the first 3 questions you should ask somebody?
On a date?
On a date.
Oh, this is a great question. All right. How good are you at relationships? Number 1.
Wow.
You can be tall, dark, and handsome. You can be fine as all outdoors. You can be the finest woman I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
But are you good in relationships? What would your past exes say about you? Right? All right, what would they say about you? Like, what would they say the pros and cons are? So that would be number 1. Number 2, give me your idea of an ideal spouse. Right? If we're talking about marriage minded, now if it's a younger generation, just tell me what's your idea of a good boyfriend or a girlfriend, right? Tell me what, relationships. Because what we're trying to see is if I should even like you.
Yeah.
One, if you're not good in a relationship and we're not going the same place, if you're just trying to say, all right, I'm just trying to
kick it.
I'm just trying to kick it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to kick it too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'll give you a good example. When I was in graduate school, I was not interested in being in a relationship. I've been a serial dater. I mean, like serial date, but I've been in relationships. Like relationship. I'm only dating to find a girlfriend.
Right.
All right. Once I found the one, ain't no need to date again. All right. But when I was in graduate school, I did not want to do that. I didn't want to be mad enough to not do my work. I didn't want to be sad to fall behind on my work. I didn't want any woman.
Yeah.
I didn't want to care enough about any woman, I'm be honest, to not be able to focus on getting my doctorate degree. Because I had this goal of getting my doctorate degree faster than everyone else. I'm going to be in here, and then I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be out of here. I'm not going to be in Michigan very long.
Right.
So when y'all see me, I'm gone. Right? And so I would date people that felt the same way. Like, I'm not trying to get deep either.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to kick it. Now, I only dated like 1 or 2 people the whole time I was there, but they were trying to be doctors and lawyers themselves. They didn't want me calling and checking on them either.
You're right.
What you doing? My work. What you need? Everything all right?
Yeah.
All right? So it was distant. And so we were aligned. But if I'm looking for marriage and you're trying to kick it, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? And then question number 3 for me,
Yes.
right, is tell me about your relationship with God.
Woo!
Right?
Yes.
Getting married older, I just, no offense to anyone else.
Yeah.
I just don't want to have to explain the Bible to you. If I say, baby, let's pray, I mean, I'm not going to judge you, but if it's weak, that's not helping me.
It's a disqualifier.
It's not helping me. If I say, I think we're in the times of Jeremiah. I think where we are politically, it's going to keep going. We're going to have to endure. I don't need you to say, well, who is Jeremiah? I just don't want that, right?
Yeah.
So for me, those are the questions. So I think that just in general, people need to ask the questions that screen and vet for the best partner for them. We ask superficial questions. Where you work? What do you do?
Yeah.
Where you from?
What's your favorite color?
What's your favorite color? What you watch on Netflix, right? And these things are interesting, but if we're talking about vetting, right, that's how you keep yourself from being hurt. Think about it. Yeah, you need some money. You go to the bank. Do they just give you money?
Never.
What do they do?
They gonna make you fill out that form.
Right. Why?
Because they want to see what your credit is. Are you gonna pay that back?
They want to keep themselves from being burned.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I need to vet you. I can't trust everyone can say they have money.
Yes.
Everyone can say they have good credit. But do you have the collateral to pay back? Do you have the credit score? Do you have the capital to invest along with us? Are you going to be in this with us?
Yeah.
Right? What about a realtor? And they show you a house. Does the realtor say, I'll show you any house? What does he or she ask for first?
You got to find what is your credit worthiness.
Do you have the pre-qualification
It
level?
is.
How much you pre-qualify for? Because
Yes.
I might say, show me a $2 million home,
Yes.
but all I can afford is $200,000. What they're trying to avoid is getting burned.
And they want to avoid wasting their time.
There it is.
No reason to show you what you can
Come on,
handle.
So why would I talk to a woman that's anti-God, right? Or that's just not her thing? Why would I talk to someone who's not marriage-minded and not good in relationships? And then why would I talk to someone that's not going the same place or is not supportive the way I need her to be?
Yeah.
Right? Like I like very strong women. I know I will run over a woman who's meek, and that's not good for me.
No.
My wife's from Inglewood, and I like that to a certain degree, right?
Inglewood is up to no good.
Right. People, you make it all quiet. I'm like, okay, come to our house. Look at the camera. Let the camera reflect.
Right.
Let me show you. So if you don't have a personality style that fits me, that I need, right? Interrupt me mid-sentence. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm going to overtalk.
Yeah.
Right? Then why date you? Why like you only to be disappointed? I've done that before.
No, that's great.
I need to know, especially me being a helper or a healer, the biggest adjustment I had to make was only dating helpers and healers. I will always date women who need help. Every time. You on crack? That's all right, girl. I know. I read books. I know how to get you off that addiction. That's okay. I'm not going to judge you. Right? Oh, okay, you have a temper. That's okay. I know anger management. But then we get into it. I'm getting sliced up. I'm like, well, I ain't never been called that combination of curse words in my life. Where's your temperance?
Right.
And God forbid I have a temper.
Yeah.
Crashing and burning. So I need to make sure that you're someone that's good for me. I need to make sure that you're a healer. I need to make sure that 50% of the times you're going to apologize. I was in a relationship one time. I did all the apologizing. I kept a note. I was like, if... You know how you stand your ground? Like, man, I'm not going to apologize. 4 days go by. 5 days go by. Like, this is ridiculous. Let me just admit I'm wrong.
Right.
Even I don't believe it, just to keep the peace.
Yeah.
That was toxic. So that next relationship, I asked, if you're wrong, do you apologize?
Wow.
Yeah, almost immediately. Are you just saying that? Are you for real? What would your daddy say? Why you didn't like? I just don't like discomfort. I will take 2 or 3 hours to kind of figure out and measure, but typically I'll call you or I'll come to you and like, how do you apologize?
Yeah.
Those are the questions that I would ask based on my past traumas.
That's powerful. I wanted to, somebody who's watching the podcast right now, while we're talking, their phone is ringing. While we're talking, text message coming through is left on red. I want you to give redress to people who have adopted ghosting as a model. They don't do closure. They don't know how to say goodbye. They just ghost.
That hurts.
Is that healthy? If they're saying, well, if I talk, it's going to open the door back up.
Yeah. I mean, you tapped into it. So Women certainly ghost, but I think men might do it more. I don't know the stats.
Oh, yeah,
on
don't
it.
they?
Okay.
Casper was a guy.
All right, well, there it is.
Yeah.
So the man has a dilemma. Do I tell you I don't like you? I mean, is that mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I liked you until you text me the fourth time, and I hadn't texted you back once. You came across as a little thirsty. No chase, no pursuit, or the perceived value wasn't there. Men like a woman with a lot of perceived value, right? When she walks in the room, men are like, "Oh, that's you? That's me," right? Your parents, your family, the people that you love, when they say, "Oh man, she has some heft, she has some substance to her, she's solid," right?
Yeah.
But we don't see that. Do you really call a woman and say, "You're just not deep enough for me, you're superficial"? And so a lot of men figure that they're doing them a favor by ghosting, but what it is traumatic, right? But it's still a dilemma. Like, what do I say? Because a lot of times women are perceptive. Like, okay, that's not it. It can't be this because you text me 3 times after that.
Wow.
Right? And sometimes, a man will do something weird, like kiss her. Right? Just like, well, this ain't going to be able. Let me just see if she can kiss. Right? Let me just get something out to date and then never call again. And she's thinking, well, was I a bad kisser? Was I not physical enough? Was he testing me to stop? And so what I would recommend to prevent that is to have we have to get back to courting.
You got to explain what that is. You dealing with a generation.
I was about to say the younger generation
who's looking for Judge Judy. You talking about courting. What happens in courting?
Back in the day.
Yes.
You couldn't just ask someone to be your girlfriend. All right. She was trained to say, I don't really know you like that. This is a good start, but keep going. Well, with today's generation, they don't court. They don't even know what that means. I like you. We send a couple DMs. We connect. We're now boyfriend and girlfriend week 4, just starting in middle school, high school. And we even see it with millennials. We've talked a couple of times. We go out. Well, let's just go ahead and date. Right. But I don't really know you. And what happens is we're in like a situationship. And the more I get to know you, the more I realize we're not a fit. Or I don't like you. And so then I ghost you. It seems like we had 3 good dates, but then we never have a 4th. Whereas we should have had courting.
Yeah.
All right. Before we're even in a situation, before I'm thinking that we're dating towards something. If I know we're just getting to know one another, 2 or 3 dates may lead to a 4th. It may not, but I'm not disappointed because I know not everyone is your cup of tea.
People are sending me telepathic messages in my head. I feel it over the screen. They want me to ask you, when is the right time when you're dating to introduce your children?
Oh, not in the beginning at all.
Is this the Steve Harvey 90 days? Is it 3 months?
Well, let's here it is. Let's talk about what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Right. You introduce someone to your kids early on. Y'all have a wonderful 2 months. But month 3, you break up, but they have a relationship with your kids. Now you're mad that you have to hurt your kids because they got attached to Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so.
Yes.
And that is a level of pain. If you've ever dated as a parent, that is hard to describe. That I can take the hurt, but I have to tell my kids why so-and-so is not coming around anymore.
Yeah.
And especially if the other person hurt you.
Wow.
They did something to you that made you break up with them.
Yeah.
You not only hurt me, you hurt my kids. Well, 3 months is too soon to introduce to the kids. So what I would say is make sure that you're almost certain that you all are moving towards marriage. If we're talking about kids, right? Y'all are engaged, right? You know of each other, you see of each other, but I would not have them have a relationship because of the likelihood of breaking up, right?
Yeah, that's powerful.
And just like a married couple, we talked about having that empty nest. If you make the kids the base of your marriage early on, you know how much you're going to argue?
Oh, yeah.
Come on now. You let your son talk to you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or reverse, that ain't your child. Don't talk to them like that.
Right. You need to discipline your son.
Yeah.
Don't tell me how to discipline my son.
Wow.
Well, hold on. As a man, hold on. Wait a minute. As a man, if I'm coming into this, you're telling me I can't discipline your son. No, you're not his father. So early on, before we have a relationship and before you even have a relationship with the kids, and you know this, you do a lot of counseling, we're in an argument about blended family. We're in an argument about co-parenting where that we didn't have the base. We didn't have the substance. We didn't have a solid relationship between the two of us
Right.
before we start talking about and adding an additional element of blended family.
No, that's real. It's powerful. I want you to talk about the dynamic or the influence between son-mother relationships and how that translates to the women they are connected to.
What we really need to look at is the relationship. Oh, yeah, you said cross-gender.
Yes.
What you want to look at is cross-gender. When we look at the research, if you're looking for someone who's healthy, look at the relationship between a daughter and her father and son and mother.
Yes.
Here's what we know. The worst thing that can ever happen to a boy or a man is to have a harsh mother. Ooh, harsh mother. If you're looking for any style absent, her is very, very difficult and harmful, right? And then harsh, right? And if you have absent and harsh, and I mean they're present, but they're not there. They're focusing on another man.
Yeah, no, I got
they're
it.
depressed.
Yeah.
They're dealing with mental illness. They're working. They're immature, right? So a harsh mother damages the self-esteem of a boy. And for a lot of women out there, we're talking about one of the questions, tell me about your relationship with your mom. If a man describes a negative relationship with his mom, beware. Beware. Because think about it, who we go to for comfort, he didn't have that. He didn't. How was he going to trust you?
Dr. Tartt, let me tell you what's crazy. Last night I'm watching a documentary about Sean Combs.
Okay.
Episode 3. His childhood friend talks about how Puffy's mother used to savagely beat him and was trying to make him tougher because his father was dead. And then for you to now connect the dots on how he inflicted abuse and how that can be traced back to a harsh mother is absolutely startling for me. Because you always talk about daughters and an absent father, but I never hear the conversation of the impact or the influence of a mother's interaction with the son and what that means.
Women could tell you. Women watching this right now, they're in your DMs, they're in the comments, like, I could tell you perfectly about all of these men because that's who they're dating. Because think about it. How would you have empathy if you never experienced it? If you're harsh, what is empathy and what is love to a son? So you fall down, your mom hugs you. She holds you close. Early on, she feeds you. She breastfeeds.
Yeah.
Our son has my wife around her finger, right? Go to bed, Mom. I love you, Mom. You pretty. He'll kiss her from her hand up to her shoulder to her face around. He does his little thing, and he can stay up 45 minutes later, right? I'm looking like, all right. And he's so funny, right? He does this thing. I don't know if he's
How old
with
is he?
He's 3.
Oh my gosh.
All right, he looks at me. I say, that's my wife. He says, no, it's not. Thanks, babe. And he talks to my wife.
Oh,
he calls
my
her babe because
Lord.
he hears me say thanks, babe.
Yeah.
He thinks that's so funny, all right? But what I'm saying is that she is his world at 3. I mean, he likes to jump in our bed. I'm like, okay, I don't like this, but he's getting nurturance from her. So if we're looking at this without judgment, how can a boy and a man who never experienced maternal empathy, love, trust, connection, how can he really be healthy in a relationship without counseling? Where does he get that from?
Yes.
So like any man looking at this saying, yeah, that's me. I've been described as emotionally unavailable. I've been described as shutting down.
Yeah.
I've been described as having no feelings, or I get in relationships and I try to have feelings, but what's that? Right?
Right.
I now realize the damage might be all the way back to my mom or my grandma. And not forget our brothers raised in foster care.
That's right.
Right? And so and did not have a nurturing foster mother, or were in group homes numerous years, right? They have to go back and say, all right, I need to go back and nurture that little boy. I need to get counseling, and I need to be open to experiencing what that emotion feels like.
Somebody is packing a spend-the-night bag It's Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's weekend. It's February. And I am afraid that a lot of us, even as adults,
Mm-hmm.
don't know the difference between sexuality and intimacy.
Okay.
And I want you to really distinguish it because a lot of people want intimacy, but only know sexuality.
Right. And if you listen to the music, it doesn't really introduce you to intimacy and love, right?
Ain't
And
no
so
songs about taking a walk no more.
No, it's not. I
ain't
really
no
miss
songs
you.
on
I
Come and
love you,
Take My
girl. I
Hand.
need you. You know, one of my
Just back that thing up. Yes.
immediately,
Yeah,
immediately, drop it low, right? Come here,
Sweep
girl.
the floor.
right? All this stuff.
Yeah,
Day one,
yes.
day one, and so, but it's affecting our boys.
Mm.
It's affecting our boys. They haven't seen the old Chris Brown video where he's chasing the girl in the park,
Right.
and she keeps walking, and he keeps chasing her, trying to get her attention. Right? They don't see that. And so they're thinking that sexuality is love. But what we know is that intimacy is really about how you feel emotionally. You want me to get deep?
Yeah.
Right? So studies show that married couples actually have more satisfying sex lives than people who are single. When I saw that, I said that was shocking. Because men out there like, no, man, the single brothers that's doing all that, they have a better sex life. But what they found is that those relationships lack intimacy. See, if we're making love, I'm making love to you. I know you. I know how you feel. Even because you're talking about sexuality and it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I know what you like. I can tell by how you move. I can tell by your sounds when I might get too deep.
No,
what
stay right there.
what
Stay
adjustments
right
to
there.
make, all right? You know, we can actually sit and do things. We can talk about variety within our marriage and things that we want to do because we have history and we have emotions. And I can make love to you after a great promotion. I can make love to you after a loss. And I know that's a different style of love making.
Ooh-wee.
That's intimacy you can't get just by dropping it low.
Yes.
Right? And then what you'll find is that you'll actually have, let's say, more stamina when you're in love with someone. Right? Because there's that connection. You're not worrying about performance. You're not performative. You're not, trying to please. You don't have these insecurities.
That's so good. That's
right?
so good. No, that's great.
I know. I went there, but and you're actually able to learn your partner over time. Right? We don't talk about this in the church, right? But since it's Valentine's Day, our erotic fantasies change every 90 days.
Really?
Every 90 days we get bored. I have to say this because when you talk...
Man, somebody just dropped the mic.
90
Wait a minute,
days,
stop that. Every 90 days, what happens?
You get bored. You habituate to the same old.
Wow.
Right? And so in marriages... couples should be talking about what new things would you like to do. All right. What you like last month may not be what you like this month. What kind of mood are you in? What would you like to do? Do you like a man with slow hands? Is there an area that I can focus on? Hey, when we were making love, I thought there was a moment that something could have happened. Can we talk about that? Yeah. Right? So couples, and this is not, black folks don't talk like this.
No.
Right? But when you look at like Spanish culture, right? They talk, European culture, they talk like this. Right? This is human sexuality.
Yeah.
They talk. And there's like, of course you're going to get bored. That's why we always have to talk and make sure that we're in tune with one another. So that I'm not just doing what I do. And you're like, oh, okay.
So every 90 days needs to be a checkup.
Every 90 days, what the research shows, right? And for people just want to, Dr. Barry McGarthy, right, is the one of the researchers in this. And he talks about you should have variety in your marriage. Sometimes you initiate. Sometimes they initiate. Sometimes you have an all-nighter if you can. Sometimes it's short and sweet. Sometimes the other person is the focus, and you just trying to take care of you. Sometimes you're the focus. Sometimes we're both trying to do it. Wow. Sometimes we're trying to do. Sometimes I'm trying to keep PG. Sometimes there's an element of danger. Right? We in the car, we in the drive-through. All these elements, and we're talking about keeping it in the marriage. God wants us to have great sex.
Wreck that car, Dr.
All right, but people are not talking about this. And what we don't talk about doesn't go anywhere. It just gets bigger.
Yeah.
All right. And so I encourage married couples to have this conversation. I know there are men and women watching this right now that feel liberated. Like, watch this podcast and let's talk about what you like. Just tell me what you like and what you like more of. right? What would add some flavor, some spice, some energy into our intimacy? And for a lot of women, they're going to say intimacy starts, it's not lovemaking, it's before.
That's right.
Get me at an 8 or a 9 before you touch me.
Yeah.
You want the best lovemaking for a woman? Let her luxuriate. Let her feel emotionally safe. Take some things off her plate. Let her know that you think of her. Do random acts of kindness.
No, that's great.
Touch her without the expectation of sex. I'm just holding your hand in the parking lot.
Right.
I'm just coming and hugging you when we get home. I'm not every time I touch you is not to initiate sex, right? And so if you learn the dance, if you learn most women, and there's some women that are not like that.
Yes.
They're like, yeah, no, just I'm ready,
Yes.
right? But if you need to learn your wife, right, and understand what she needs, and understand that romance and sexuality are connected. You can have the best sex by making sure the intimacy is there. Have a deep conversation, then make love.
Wow.
That's going to be a lot better lovemaking than just meeting up and doing what you do.
Wow.
Talk to my heart and spirit. And I'm going to be honest. I'm not a typical man. You need to talk to me first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You don't even know what's going on with me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
right,
No, you need to talk to me. I'm a sapiosexual. Get
Yes.
into my head. If you're in my head and my heart, oh my goodness, I'm already ready.
He identifies as a sapiosexual. So that's not a rainbow. That's a green clover. A sapio. I just like saying it. A sapiosexual. I remember the church almost crashed and burned when Kirk Franklin went on Oprah Winfrey and said he had an addiction to pornography. Because we were taught it's bad. Is it still unhealthy even in marriage?
Oh yeah, but it's for a reason that's not necessarily about the judgment. All right. So when we look at studies about porn, all right, here's what happens. So couples first introduce it, and usually they like it at first because there is a third thing to focus on to add to the eroticism.
Right.
All right. So couples will argue you up and no, this is good. No matter what you say, I know how I feel. I know my level of desire is higher.
Right.
But if we fast forward in a relationship, right, what happens is one of them watches the porn without the other person. Right. And so what you're doing is you're now shaping and training. If you remember operant behavior modification, you are training yourself to be stimulated by someone other than your husband or wife.
So psychological adultery.
So come home and your wife touching you, be like, "Nah, I'm good. I watched the video for you." You're never gonna say that,
right?
But I watched the video before you got here. All right. So now you're creating insecurities, with your partner. You're actually decreasing the healthy sexuality.
Yes.
The sexual frequency. That's what I was looking for.
Right.
Because you're taking care of yourself. I don't really need you. Right? And then the other thing is here's what happens.
Yeah.
You find yourself going back to just sex with you and your wife as boring without the porn.
Wow.
See, when we first got the spark, that was great seeing this in the background and I'm looking at you, I'm looking at the TV or whatever people doing, right? But when I went back to you, it felt boring and I lost libido. I lost desire. I felt a need to have a third person, all right, or a third stimulus in the room, and you actually end up harming, for most couples, your sexuality by accident, right? And then for a lot of men, they forget about the intimacy and the romance, and the training of watching porn just teaches you just about how to climax, right? And it hurts you when it comes back to relationships, right? You don't really know how to connect. You don't know how to bond, and you end up hurting your own relationship by mistake. So all the research says, walk away from the porn.
Yeah.
And I hope people can see the practical. I like to be practical with people so they can see that makes sense.
No, that's great. I did this men's conference, Dr. Tartt, maybe about 5 years ago. It's probably one of the most powerful men's conferences I was able to participate in. It's maybe about 3,000 men there. And I dealt with Samson from a perspective that everybody talks about his hair getting cut, but nobody ever dealt with the fact that he never slept with Delilah. There is no redress for strong men who don't have a strong sex drive. And so men who are dealing with it almost blame themselves. Maybe I don't like that woman, and don't deal with maybe there's a chemical imbalance. Maybe my testosterone is low. Maybe I did so much before I got to this. I'm burnt out. And women on the other side who are saying, you know what, I've shut that part of me down. I just can't even activate it. I don't want to be touched.
Right.
I just want to be there. It's good for us to talk and hang out, but don't touch me. What do you say to those who have disconnected from that spark?
A lot of different things could be going on. All right. Let's first of all talk about trauma. All right. Yeah. If my last relationship was traumatic sexually, we're talking about rape, we're talking about feeling used, after, and it goes both ways for men and women.
Yeah.
Men and women both get ghosted, right? Yeah. It's really harmful for men.
Yeah.
I was that bad, you didn't even call me back, right? I was that bad. I was that unimpressive.
I know you hear me on the radio.
I know, right? I know. I thought I was doing something, but it was all a dream. But so trauma, all right? And so they say, all right, well, let me just stay away from it. But I'll tell you the hidden piece is when men hit 40, their testosterone naturally drops. Right. And men who, I see you in the gym, I see you being in there, right? If you're not working out, if you're over 40, you're losing testosterone, right? And it's going to be more difficult for you to perform. Right. And so if you're not producing that testosterone, a man is never going to say, well, you know what? I don't have enough testosterone to make love to you. He's going to say, I'm not attracted to you. I don't feel like it.
I'm tired.
You don't do it for me. No, it'll be even more cruel than that. You just don't do it for me.
Right.
Right. Because I have to hide, especially if I'm married, I have to hide behind my pride.
Right.
Because it can't be me. And so men have to check their testosterone levels, they have to check their stress levels, their diets. As we get older, we have to take better care of ourselves. So one is making sure that you physically are having the right diet, sleep, and exercise, right? And also,
well, I just eat fruit, so
yeah,
it doesn't apply.
Hey, Daniel's fat. In the Bible, they were stronger eating pulses, right? So there it is. So you should be stronger, right? Yeah. So men have to take care of themselves. But here's the interesting thing. A lot of men struggle, because I'm a psychologist, so we see it all.
Yeah.
A lot of men struggle with stamina. Okay, they don't last very long.
Yeah.
Right? And they think, let me go to Viagra, let me go to Cialis and all this other stuff.
Oh, let me go to the gas station.
Oh, no, don't go to the gas. Don't get them lightning, but whatever they are. Like, you know what happens? It's funny, I see so many clients that do this, right? They're like, oh, man, I'm going to perform. I'm like, yeah, you perform, but you in the ER. Right. So your heart was beating, and you laughing, but ER doctors are laughing. People are like, what's going on? I feel like I'm having a heart attack. What you take? Them little lightning bugs, whatever they call them at the gas station. Because they're too potent, right? There's other things you can take, right? Well, a lot of it. It's so funny. Talk to ER docs. Like, what did you take? Did you take something to boost your libido? Oh, you're not having a heart attack, brother. Just give it 48 hours and calm down.
No,
right?
That's great.
Like, yeah, you still excited 2 days later.
Listen. I am so thankful you spent Valentine's Day with us. We needed this and didn't know
I'm sorry to end on that.
No. This is grace for grown-ups. We needed it more than you can ever dream, think of. You saved somebody's life tonight. You saved somebody's marriage. You saved somebody's self-esteem. It could have been me outdoors. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Doc.
I'm grateful.
Go back, man.
All of you who are locked in, I want you to, number one, love yourself. And I want you, number two, to know that you are loved, that you are the apple of God's eye. It doesn't matter who doesn't call if you didn't get any flowers, didn't get any cards, didn't get a dinner invitation, didn't get a knock on the door. You woke up this morning. It's evident that you are on the mind of God. He is so into you that he got a crush on you in prenatal care. While you were still in your mother's womb, he was making plans for you. Have an incredible Valentine's weekend, and I want you to please share the love by sharing this podcast. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.